At the Cricket World Cup in 2007, the day after Ireland amazingly beat Pakistan, the coach of the Pakistan team, Bob Woolmer, was found dead in his hotel room. Preliminary reports suggested he had been poisoned and then strangled. But after visits from police forces from around the world, especially England, it was decided there was insufficient evidence to pursue a murder line.
Pakistan's media manager at the World Cup, PJ Mir, shared Bob's concerns about whether the team's priority was their religion or their sport.
I mean, Bob had his reservations that, you know, that the boys, instead of really focusing themselves onto the religious aspect, they really ought to be focusing more on cricket. He wasn't particularly pleased that when players were going out to say their prayers in the middle of a game and a substitute was coming in, and then again, you know, this continued. He was totally against it.
I'm Muslim, Alhamdulillah, and is in my religion is 5-time prayer is every day. Bob is never upset about this.
The captain, Inzamam al-Haq, and other prominent members of the Pakistani squad had become members of the Sunni fundamentalist group, Tablighi Jamaat. The group listened to prayer and sermons while travelling with the rest of the squad on the team bus.
A CD was being played, which was a Tablighi CD, and Bob was sitting behind me. He said, look, why don't you tell them to stop it? And if they want to listen to it, they can listen to it on their iPods or on their, you know, those personal devices. And he said he felt that he shouldn't really be subjected to all this, and I agreed with Bob.
He read the Quran. He wanted to understand the Pakistan personality, but he gave up the last 3 years of his life to go and work in Pakistan. And one could imagine that if he had felt the team weren't performing as they should have for these strange reasons, I think anyone in that frustration might have said something which in retrospect might have been taken incorrectly.
After the team were knocked out, PJ Mir returned to Pakistan and publicly blamed their poor performance on some of the team being more interested in praying than playing. He claims his comments resulted in a fatwa, forcing him to flee the country.
Let's put it this way, if Bob had said what I had said, yes, I think there would have been fatwa on him as well. There's no question of that. But again...
Has he said what you said?
Well, I said, you know, that the players were more focused on religion rather than on cricket.
And he too has said that?
Well, he has said that, yes.
What we know is that Bob Woolmer was rendered helpless by some kind of toxin and that he was then smothered and strangled. All this just hours after his side had been sent crashing out of the World Cup by minnows. Now, talk of match-fixing, international gambling and fatwas may sound far-fetched, but the circumstances around this crime were extraordinary. So whatever the motive was, it's likely to have been unique. So was he about to expose evidence of match-fixing or corruption involving his team? Well, Pakistan losing to both the West Indies and Ireland certainly fueled suspicion, but where was the evidence? Bob Woolmer had been unwittingly connected with match corruption before. While coaching South Africa in the late 1990s, the team became embroiled in the biggest match-fixing scandal ever, resulting in captain Hansie Cronje being banned for life.
Words cannot begin to describe the shame, humiliation...
He admitted being in the pay of an Indian bookmaker.
What it did to cricket and cricketers like myself and other people, I mean, in a way, it shamed cricket.
Before Bob Woolmer joined them, the Pakistan team were involved in a match-fixing scandal of their own, resulting in lifetime bans for 2 players and a fine for Inzamam al-Haq.
I was amazed, quite frankly, because I just didn't believe it was happening. I couldn't think the Pakistanis would throw a game. You know, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe anyone in cricket would ever throw anything, quite frankly.
Well, match-fixing isn't just about the end result of throwing a game. These days, you can place spot bets on almost any eventuality. How many runs a bowler will concede, how many runs a batsman will score, more or less than 30, let's say, when precisely he'll get out. Now, if the player and the bookmaker collude to fix these outcomes, then the bookie's guaranteed an income and the player will get a lucrative reward. And all this is very, very hard to prove. But it has been proved. Justice Malik Khayyam headed an investigation into cricket corruption 7 years ago. He concluded it was rife not only in Pakistan but across the world.
In Pakistan, I found definite evidence showing that yes, some of the match had been fixed by some of the players. And I also said that this appears to be all over, like India, South Africa, Sri Lanka, maybe England and Australia also.
I think cricket itself has acknowledged that it has a problem, and the ICC have an anti-corruption unit which is headed by Lord Condon.
The former Met Police Chief Lord Condon submitted a report to the sport's governing body, saying corruption was endemic within a small but significant number of players in the sport.
We've left it with him and one of our liaison officers to work with him to come back with any information that may indicate that the motive for Bob's death was related to match fixing.
Gambling is big business in India and Pakistan, especially on the region's favourite sport, cricket. And where there are big profits at stake, there's also the potential for corruption. Undercover reporter Aniruddha Bahal first blew the lid on match fixing in 1997. His regular corruption exposés ever since have meant he now has an armed guard 24/7.
When you look at match fixing, people think that match fixing is about influencing results. I mean, today it means 100 different things. If I was in some team and somebody approached me saying, you just have to get out before you're scoring 20 runs. I mean, that's it. I mean, then maybe he could make a pile of money just doing that.
In Lahore, Pakistan's police were keen to show us their specialist illegal gambling unit in action.
Gambling is a curse for our society. It gives a wrong impression, therefore it should be stamped out. This is an Islamic country. This should not be here. It is a cancer.
They recently arrested 1,100 people in raids on 235 illegal bookies. This man is a local rickshaw driver. He now faces the death penalty for the murder of a bookie after an illegal bet that went bad.
There's
a lot of unemployment and poverty here. People think that there's easy money to be made from gambling, but it just leads to violence.
The raids make headlines but little impact. Such is the scale of illegal gambling here. Small-time bookies proliferate in back alleys across the subcontinent, each answering to bigger, powerful mafia bookmakers. This one is operating out of Mumbai and taking bets from all over India. He believes that there are still international players in the pocket of the mafia bookies.
Sometimes they make the run, sometimes they give the maiden overs. So the suspicions are coming. Why a batsman with a capacity of playing is just playing a table tennis type of cricket? It raises the doubt. It's not confirmed. The man has got the capacity to hit, he's not hitting.
As a coach, Bob Woolmer was not afraid to speak out against corruption.
It's certainly something I would not associate with if I knew anything about it. And if I did know something about it, I would certainly let the world know straight away.
So could his outspoken approach have been a reason for his murder?
Bob Woolmer's death is at least shrouded in mystery. So nobody knows what happened. But there are strong indications that somehow or the other this has to do with match fixing. Otherwise, there is no rational explanation for his murder.
But there's no evidence either.
Of course, they now say that Bob Woolmer wasn't murdered. How convenient.